Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. So, the most important thing is it's not about engagement, it's about consistency. When most organizations are planning social media and they get exhausted, it's because they're chasing the wrong outcome. So many times people are chasing I've got to go viral, I've got to do that. And even our team internally has noticed, wow, some of our posts just look like nobody sees them. People don't like as much as they used to. It may seem subtle, but Facebook changed where the like button is, so it's actually harder to press. If you notice that, social media is such a more of a feed. There's so many more things distracting our attention. What I want you to think about is we're not trying to go viral, but we're trying to be reliably present. So that is my buzzword for today. We want to be reliably present. People don't follow the organizations they rely on. They really don't. It's not something you're going to do. You're not going to follow Pro-One painters because you think they're fun to watch. No, you will only search for them when you need it. So if you're working on a brand, you've got to be able to put some consistent messages out there. It's more about consistency than it is about volume or quantity. A lot of times people ask me, how many times should I post in a week? It really doesn't matter as long as you're consistent. Studies show that users need multiple exposures to the same message before they trust it or remember it. And that's been true since the dawn of time when it comes to advertising. When I went to college, which was quite a bit of years ago, I heard that you needed to share your message with your customers at least 3 to 4 times before they would even consider stopping by to visit your store. It's still true today. People need multiple exposures to your brand before they're going to really trust you or, to be honest, remember you. So what's working now is consistency, and that really makes a difference. You don't have to be clever every day. Your audience doesn't require you to be clever every day, but they need you to be there every time when they're looking for you. So part of the problem people have is that they'll be on a roll. I'm going to do this every day, or I'm going to make this happen once a week, and they're very consistent, but then they fall off and stop to do that, and they don't follow through. And that's where consistency is really, once again, more important than quantity. When people are using social media for business, they aren't looking for the next viral, funny video. What they are looking for is, now, what was her phone number? Or how do I really work with this company? If you're a service business like us, I really need people to set a meeting with me. I have to be there in person or virtually for people to meet with me. But how often have I said that in a social media post? I don't know that we've always been consistent, but you know, that's one thing that you can do is just remind people some of the regular everyday things. Consistent messaging is important, and low engagement doesn't mean low impact. And for those of you who have bosses that are saying, well, there's low engagement, it means it's not worth it. We don't want to spend any more time on this because no one's engaging with our posts. Nobody's seen it. But I think the words to remember are, it is quiet usefulness. It doesn't mean that people aren't seeing it. It means it's sitting there for when that person's looking for you, they'll be able to find it. And that's also true with the AI overview that's happening. So when you're posting regularly on your social media and when you're updating your website regularly, those new changes are seen as timely, and the computers that are handling all of the search engines are out there looking for that information. Oh, this is new, and that's something that you can do. But it takes a huge amount of time to do that all the time. So one of the benefits of the Content Fresh Cloud is that we are able to recycle content and create evergreen content. So what this workshop is about today is that we want to prepare you in a few minutes today. We're going to give you a system that'll help you plan your content for the entire year, make it happen, and make it solid. And it's not about going viral. This isn't that meeting. So if that's what you're interested in, you can check out and catch us at another time. What we're trying to do today is give you a system that reliably handles your social media without killing your time or your energy. So as people that live and work in social media every day, we know how hard it is to consistently show up and be creative, but I'd like to challenge that thought. We don't have to be creative every day, but what we do have to do is plan ahead and just think about it a little bit. So if you spend a little bit of time thinking about it, it's going to help. My system is 5 pillars. So those pillars that I have, those are content or topics, if you will. So each pillar represents a topic. And my thought process is if we can get 4 of those pillars created with content that would be evergreen, then you set it up in a tool like we have where you have your evergreen content regularly posting. Then you focus on the 5th pillar, which is focused on everyday content, real things that are happening, new and relevant things that you can't plan in advance. But when you're running a business, there are plenty of things that you can already include as posts and content that are evergreen. When we think about pillar 1, what you do and why it matters. Most people assume that people seeing them on social media already know what they do, or they're thinking that someone's following them and they may have seen those other 3 posts that you posted. Well, the way the algorithms are working today is that you see random posts at random times for the businesses you follow. And if you haven't liked or checked out a business that you follow, you have dropped off their feed and you won't see their content at all. So when you're the business that's planning for that, you need to make sure that profile has all of the basics covered. So here are some ideas for this first pillar. A lot of times this is a great topic to put in testimonials or social proof, if you will. So what are some things that you've done, some successes you've had that you can put into some content? Some of the other ideas I have, is there any industry articles that say it better than you do? For example, if there is a strategy you use in your business or something unique about how you operate, that the industry standard is this also. And so there's a magazine article or a business publication that talks about that. That would be a great item to share. So that would be another way to come up with a few different posts. So a few could be testimonials and a few could be maybe industry articles. For Content Fresh, for example, we might share an article about the social media statistics I added, some of those things that talk about why it's important to have consistency in social media. I'm going to find those articles that back that up, and that just allows me to provide more feedback for this pillar 1, just more things that are along those lines. So I'm going to come up with 10 things along those lines, social proof, whether it's proof people saying this is a great company to work for as a testimonial, or if it's other industry articles that support what you do. That's a great source of information. Sometimes people have that information too in things that they've already created. Maybe there's a video you made a few years ago, but it's still got value. Maybe you pull out a clip from that. All of this are some ideas. Just get those created. If you've got a tool like Content Fresh, you can go ahead and give that a category tag in the system so you remember that's pillar 1. Then pillar 2 is values, expertise. So if you are running a larger organization, maybe you're running social media for a government organization or for a educational institution, a college or university, think about some ways that you can establish that credibility for your business. So pillar 2, are there accolades or certificates that you have that set you apart? Is there certain expertise on your team that you could highlight a team member? So I challenge you 10 posts that you could create on pillar 2 on just what are some highlights that you have in your business. So what is it that makes you unique? What are the certificates? What are the actual credentials that people can trust? Again, this is something that you should be able to come up with fairly quickly, and you just need 10 ideas along those lines. Maybe there's an award you won. Think about those sorts of ideas. I want to stop here. Does anyone have any questions so far?
I don't have a question, but I had something that I wanted to know based on, I think that will apply to probably all of these 5 pillars is the how useful AI can be in helping you create ideas or generate ideas for these types of posts. I think by giving an AI tool, it doesn't really matter which, context around your business, your organization, whatever the case may be, and ask it to provide content ideas based on these parameters, it will easily give you 10, 20, 30, 100 ideas for different posts. So yeah, just the efficacy of AI shouldn't be understated.
Right. That's such a great point. We've used it a lot too, and just maybe getting a different idea of how to present the same topic. I think what sometimes AI misses with some of these topics when it comes to the inspiration and values, or those are my internal words for that, but like when you're really trying to say how you work with people, some of these things are things that aren't actually very well outlined on your own website or in your social media prior to. Like you may not have done a great job of listing all of your accolades on your website. AI can certainly help you, but just making sure you have that information out there on the internet is important. So just building that digital footprint. What have you used AI recently for?
I've used AI for literally everything. I have ChatGPT pulled up throughout the day, and it's what I use for any project, most questions. If I want to just work through a problem, I use AI for everything. That's the short answer.
It's good. All right. Well, I'll just keep going. I think the pillar number 3 is a day in the life or behind the scenes. And this is something that is missing from a lot of the companies that we provide social media for. We're out here and the company's over here, and we don't always have their real life photos or examples of what they do. But think of some evergreen content that you can create in a photo library. So think of behind the scenes. People don't know what it's like when you're sitting at the table working with a client on a real problem or a customer. Think of 5 to 10 concepts. These can be as simple as the branding on a truck, the logo on the side of the truck pulling up to a customer's home if they're that sort of business. Or somebody walking in the door to your business showing the logo of your company on the door as it's opening. Or somebody sitting across the table from someone, like we work with an accountant who mostly does virtual meetings, but maybe even that video of a Zoom meeting of someone meeting with you via Zoom or online meeting like this could also be a great snapshot. This is behind the scenes. This is what day-to-day looks like. And it can be as simple as your hand on a piece of paper writing or something. So I think sometimes this real behind the scenes look, we make it too complicated. I think it can be very simple. One of the things that we're offering now at Content Fresh is that once a quarter photo shoot, so that with the people we do social media for, we can come and capture some of these meetings or some of these experiences and moments so that we can turn those into real valuable, authentic content without it being super expensive. Within a couple hours, we can capture lots of little scenes and clips and photos and things that we can use then to extend the brand online. If you have some of these photos, it also helps your customers feel like they could work with you. If you've not tried recently to get a Google profile verified, what they need now is you to take a photo of your sign at your place of business and upload it. They're asking for real proof that you're in business. So what's your thought, Orlando?
Yeah, just to build on the Google Business Profile, essentially Google wants you to use your Google Business Profile as another social media platform in much the same way that you use Facebook, Instagram, whatever, TikTok, Pinterest. it wants you to post content to that profile regularly. Another benefit of the Content Fresh Cloud is one of the platforms that it integrates with is your Google Business Profile. So if you've got that set up and you own it and you manage it, then you can easily schedule content, the same content that's going out to Facebook, Instagram, any one of these platforms. You can also schedule it to go out to your Google Business Profile. You should also be requesting reviews from your customers, your clients, people who you've worked with, and then responding to those reviews. Again, using the Google Business Profile just like you would a social media platform, and really engaging with that audience that is engaging with you and giving them something to engage with.
Definitely. It's all about being present. And again, it's about consistency. Just do a lot more of that and take the stress off by making it easier by thinking some of these ideas through in advance. Pillar 4 is logistics. How do you work with us? How do you apply for this or register for this? What's your phone number? What are your hours? What's the best place to work with this organization? Are there things that people misunderstand? What are the frequently asked questions? What is the cost of your services? Is it more, what do you actually do? So some of these obvious questions, they seem so obvious to us, and you think, people should know that. But if somebody's looking through your social media profile and they know nothing about your business, if they look at the last 5 to 10 posts, do they know how to work with you? Do they know where you're located? Do they know what it is you're best at? And so that's sort of when we think about this evergreen content. It's not like people are reading it like a book. They're not going to start with your post in January and start reading it. Then they're going to see the next one, and they're going to see the next one. And that's how we see it. But with the way they see it is like one's going to pop up randomly because of a keyword that you used in that post that happened to be something they were searching for the last week. So what we can do is show up consistently. So that last pillar 4 is just, what are the basics? What are the specials? What are those frequently asked questions or the business how-tos? So if you've done this and you've decided for those 4 pillars, we're creating evergreen content. If you've got 10 ideas for each of those pillars, that is 40 posts. So that leaves pillar 5, which is things that are happening now. There are some things that should be on social media that we don't know in advance. So I know Miranda's here with us and she's a realtor. So this would be things of, what did you sell? What was just sold recently, or what listing is available now? So those things you can't do 6 months in advance, but you could do them day by day. And once you've got the consistency handled, the other 4 pillars, you've got plenty of time left to have a little more energy left for those posts that are happening, like what's happening today and what's happening now. The most important thing to take away is that, it really can be all about pre-planning. And the other thing that makes this really important is that you have to have the right tool. Today, a scheduling tool is critical, and it is possible to schedule ahead on Meta using, for Instagram and Facebook together, you can schedule content in advance. However, using a tool like Content Fresh, and there's other tools like it as well, but it just becomes critical to be able to get that content created, make placeholders, get it on the schedule, make sure you're planning ahead so that if you take a couple hours and create these 40 posts we were just talking about and get those scheduled out for the year, it feels so good to have that done. And it always also gives you that flexibility to move things around. As it rolls into April, you might look at that content post that you'd created and you may shift them further, or you may decide it's time for another rewrite of those. And so, the other idea is if you want more than 1 post a week for this consistency or social media feed, then just create 20 for each category, or maybe spread it out to be a quarterly effort. So that is the 5-pillar system. I'm hoping the pillar system can help create more confidence in what you're posting in the future. Well, and unless there's any other updates from the team, I'm going to sign off for another marketing meetup. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks. Bye.